Welcome back to the Generals Baseball Show. My name is Ethan Duer, and I am joined on this beautiful Saturday morning by JP Woodward, a 6'6" left-handed pitcher in the Philadelphia Phillies organization, currently with the Jersey Shore BlueClaws. JP, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I said this is my first time interviewing a minor league player, so it's very exciting for me to have you on here. So thank you for taking the time, man.
Absolutely.
Well, before we get into your current situation, currently playing in the Phillies organization, I want to take a step back because I think that people will find that your baseball story is very interesting and fascinating. And I think once they also hear it, they're gonna find themselves that you are someone that is easy to root for. So first off, walk me back a little bit. So you said you were born in Red Bank, New Jersey, and then you grew up in Baltimore. What was it like playing baseball throughout your childhood?
I had a pretty normal experience growing up playing baseball. Did the whole, like local rec leagues growing up until like teenage years, and then by that point it was travel ball. But I was never like one of those kids that played for those elite travel teams or like went across the country. I was just always like the local tournaments and like sports at the beach in Delaware, like those kinds of like local tournaments. But other than that, really normal. And then getting into high school, same thing. I was a really late bloomer, so again in high school, I really wasn't the best player. I was shorter. I grew by senior year, but I was shorter. I was chubby. I threw like 75. So um, high school it was really fun, but it was just like one of those things where I wasn't one of those kids that people were like, oh yeah, like that kid's gonna go D1 or play on these elite travel teams. And it's not that I was okay with that, but it's just like I just never really thought of myself as a competitive or like a college baseball player. I was like, I'm gonna play through high school and that's about it. And yeah, I got to my senior year of high school, and I think I was topping out at like 79 miles an hour, super unathletic. And like I had a good time. I didn't even start in high school. I was a reliever in high school. um, and we won the championship, I think 3 years in a row, when I was maybe 2 years in a row when I was there. And by the time senior year was over, I had gotten into Lafayette on my own merit, just academically. And I reached out to the coach, just for the hell of it, and I said, "Hey, like I'm coming. Like I was 6'4" by that point, 6'4" and lefty. I throw like 79 miles an hour. I didn't expect anything of it, but I was like, why not? And he reached back out and he said, send me some video, and I did. And then he came and saw me that summer, and I did pretty well. And we had like a local summer team, and I did pretty well. And he said that I could have a spot, that my freshman fall as a walk-on. But we had 42 guys that fall, and the roster limit's 35. And so again, I really didn't think anything of it. And then after the first round of cuts, they kept me. And then the winter came, they cut more guys, they kept me. And then after that, the rest was history. And yeah, here I am.
Well, I was going to say that's a great segue because most guys at your level, if you're playing high A right now for the Philadelphia Phillies organization, when it comes to playing college baseball, that's kind of a bidding war. What school am I going to go to? Who's going to give me the best offer? And here you are, you decide to give it you walk onto the team at Lafayette. Now, I read that your grandpa went to Lafayette and played sports there. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. He played. I never met him. He passed away when my mom was 5, but he played lacrosse at Lafayette.
Okay, awesome. Um, and so, you make it through the fall ball your freshman year, you make it to the team. You accomplished some great physical changes as well in your early part of your time at Lafayette. I read that you dropped 30 pounds, you grew 2 inches. You post the best ERA on your team that freshman season. I think it was a 4.78 across 19 games or something like that. At this point, are you thinking that professional baseball could be happening for you?
No, absolutely not. Because like I said, I didn't have an offer from not even D1, but no D2s, no D3s, no JUCOs. Um, I actually like the aha moment for me about not being able to think I could play college baseball was I went to a camp at Dickinson College my I think it was my senior summer, and Dickinson's a local D3 school in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And I went, and afterwards the coach, like I had like a visit, and the coach was like, yeah, he was like, you're going to have to be a walk-on if anything. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm not playing baseball, because Dickinson is obviously, it's like, if you're halfway decent, you can play Division III baseball. And I just didn't think it was for me. And but at Lafayette, my freshman year, yeah, I mean, I had a really good freshman year. I became our closer, one of the late innings guys, and I think by the end of my freshman year, I was up to 88, which was crazy. And no, I didn't even fathom pro ball. You know, I was just kind of enjoying getting better. I think that was the main thing for me, was enjoying the process. And that freshman summer, I played in the Cal Ripken League I played in Washington D.C., but it's like all of Northern Virginia, Southern Maryland, and Washington D.C. And pretty competitive league and a good league for freshman summer. And made the All-Star team that summer. I think I had like a 2.4 or something like that for that summer. And even after that, I didn't consider it at all. I was just like, dang, like I'm getting pretty good at baseball. Like this is cool. But again, like really, and especially at Lafayette, like I think only before me, like one guy went pro in like 10 years or something. He's actually in the big leagues now. He's a closer for the Pittsburgh Pirates. But yeah, it never really occurred to me until after Cape Cod my sophomore year. That was kind of the first time that it clicked.
Well, that's a great segue again, because speaking of the summer league, you signed a 2-week trial with the Bourne Braves, correct? And you end up making that team. You're getting used to making teams as a walk-on. How was that experience up in Cape Cod?
Yeah, so my sophomore year at Lafayette, I switched from out of the bullpen to I became our number one Friday night starter, which was a big transition. Sorry about that. And it was a lot. It was super fun. It was obviously a lot of pressure. And I did well. I didn't have great numbers because just, you had those couple starts to just blow everything up, but it was a really good experience. And then I was supposed to play in the Northwoods League, and I don't know what made me do it, but one day, just out of the blue, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna reach out to some Cape teams and see if they need some spots. And because I was at that point, I was a 6'5", 6'6" lefty throwing almost 90, topping 90, 91. And pretty much every coach got back to me and said, sorry, all of our spots are filled. And Bourne's coach emails me back and says, hey, like call me at this number, we can talk more. And he goes, yeah, send me some video, blah, blah, blah. And he gets back to me and he says that I can have a temp contract, which in the Cape, temp contracts are very hit and miss. With position players, it's extremely tough because those are almost always like exact amounts of players. So it's really hard to stay as a temp, as a hitter. But as a pitcher, you never know. And the way that it works is because all the guys from the big schools like Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, Florida, they're all playing like into the middle of June. And so the Cape League starts like in, I think, the first week of June or whenever it is. And all the schools are playing to the end of June. And so they need spots until they come. And so I got there and we had not trials, but we had like a scrimmage the first couple days. And then I started playing the first couple weeks. And then what happened was there were a couple pitchers that didn't come from the big schools, and they ended up keeping me, which was awesome because that summer was definitely one of the more fun experiences I've had in my life. Had the best host family ever. Bourne was an awesome place to play. The Cape is, everybody says it's awesome, but you don't really realize it till you're there. It's like it's like a novel. Like every night, like during the day, it's like a beach town. At night, it gets cool, and everyone's like wearing sweatshirts and brings their lawn chairs to the game.
Oh,
Like,
that's awesome, man.
yeah, like I wouldn't have traded that for like that. It's such a cool experience, and I'll definitely go back and watch games too when I'm older because it seriously is like out of a novel. It was definitely one of the cooler experiences I've had.
Oh, JP, that's awesome, man. So now I want to jump a little bit to present day. So you excitedly, after your junior season at Lafayette, we're doing the COVID year. You signed as a free agent with the Phillies, June 15th, 2020. What was that process like? And take me through the jump from realizing like, okay, I'm actually going to be able to play professional baseball to the Phillies offering you a contract.
Yeah, that was a really interesting and emotionally wearing process. By that point, like by the time COVID shut our season down, I knew that I was a draft prospect, and by that point, I kind of knew that in a normal draft I was going to get drafted. And when COVID shut our season down, it was definitely a tough pill to swallow, especially when they announced that the rest of the season was canceled. Because like as a as a college baseball player who's a draft prospect, like your junior year it's your year. You know, like that's the year you make your money. That's the year you shoot yourself up draft boards. Like, and in our season, I was pitching really well. My first game against High Point, I gave up like 10 runs in 2 innings or something, which just skyrocketed my numbers. And then I think I had 3 or 4 starts after that. They were going super well, and so I was really excited to keep pitching well. And there's scouts all the time in my games, and I was just like, man, like this is my year. Like this is gonna be awesome. Like I'm with my best friends on the team. Like we have a really good chance to win the Patriot League. And then boom, COVID hits. And then boom, season's canceled. And then boom, the draft's 5 rounds, which I that was really tough for me to like swallow. Was that the draft went from 40 rounds to 5 rounds? Because I knew personally that I wasn't a top 5 round guy. Like I believed in myself that I was better than that, but I knew based on how I performed and being in a small school, I knew that I wasn't going to get drafted in the top 5 rounds. So then after that, the decision became signing after the draft as a UDFA, which was capped at $20,000, which was the hard part because, as a guy who probably would have went around like 10th through 20th round, the slot for that's like 125K. So, pissing away, $105,000, that's a lot of money to be forfeiting to get into pro ball. But, I talked to my agent, I talked to my family, I talked to my coach. And after the draft went by and I wasn't drafted because you never know. And I did get a call. I did get one call during the draft, but nothing ever came of it. And
JP, can you say what team that was, or are you not allowed?
Yeah, it was the White Sox called me during the draft, which is,
Okay.
it was just, would you take this amount? Yes or no? And then the way that works is they do that with probably like 5 kids and then they decide on, but,
Gotcha.
so that didn't work out, which was fine. I didn't really have any expectations going in. And then there was a 2-day like waiting period, I believe, for guys to opt out if they wanted to, so teams wouldn't spam call them about signing. And so those 2 days went by, and then it was time to decide. And I honestly couldn't tell you like the exact reasons for why I decided to sign, but the main thing was it was just a gut feeling. Like I think the main thing that drove me was looking back on like me my senior year of high school, like the chubby kid who threw 78 miles an hour who wasn't even a starter in high school. Like what the hell would he have said if you told him like there's literally a contract right in front there, like 10 to 15 teams like offering you free agent contracts to play professional baseball, like, and you're going to say no and risk going back? You could get hurt. Lafayette's a more liberal institution, so I didn't know if we were going to have a season this year, which they did, but we didn't know that. And
Right.
like I said, risking injury, like I don't know how I would have performed, and just all those things. And looking back, I just thought it was the right decision. I wanted to get into pro ball, and I think my biggest fear, and I think something that's like driven me since then with decision making, is I didn't want to have any regret. And I think that that's like the biggest thing. My biggest fear in life is having regret for things. Like, yeah, the money sucks. Fortunately, I'm blessed. By no means is my family rich or anything, but we're well off enough where I don't have like, it's not like I have to completely be on my own. Because obviously minor league baseball is a tough life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for me, it was the right decision to go after what I really want to do. And all my teammates supported me, my coach supported me, my agent supported me, my family supported me. And I think I can say at this point it's been a really good decision considering where I am now. So it was definitely a crazy process. But yeah, I ended up just, choosing to sign with Philly, and it's been a great decision.
Well, absolutely, man. And I mean, that is a great segue into our conversation about your year in the minor leagues. You started out in low A with the Clearwater Thrashers, and you obviously have made it up to high A. So congratulations on that promotion.
Thank you.
So far in your career, you have a 1-0 record with a 2.16 ERA across both high A and low A ball. 25 innings pitched, striking out 26, a 1.04 WHIP. Looking at, we can talk all much about the numbers. But, in what ways do you think you stand out in terms of, a unique arm for the Phillies organization? And I guess, how has your pitching style or anything changed since making the jump to the minor leagues? And tell me a bit about, how the season has progressed for you and where you think it's going to take you into the, following year.
Yeah, it's definitely been a really good year. And not to say I didn't expect it, but it's your first season in pro ball. And I was definitely really good in college, but I don't want to say dominant. So I didn't really, and Lafayette's a lower D1 school. But yeah, I mean, this year's been amazing. I mean, going into spring training, I hadn't faced a hitter in a game situation in God knows how long, over a year. So going into spring training, I was nervous, obviously incredibly nervous. I didn't know what to expect.
JP,
And
were you at the spring training site in Clearwater with the major league team, or were you
no,
at?
no, no, minor league spring training.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. And it just it went really well. I mean, all of spring training, I just pitched absolutely great, and I had no idea what to expect from making a team, and that was my goal, was to make low A. Um, and I pitched super well over that month of April, yeah, and I ended up making Clearwater, and I was ecstatic. And then it was time to get to work there, and I think the reason I've had so much success this year is mainly what's above the shoulders, like in my head. I think my mentality has been the biggest difference. But physically, I think that from college to now, my velocity it's a little bit up. It's pretty much the same. It's like 92, 90, 91, 92, 93. But I've had like a turn that I do that's added a lot of deceptiveness. And I think the biggest difference is my off speed is a lot finer. My slider's a lot sharper. I have a lot of control for it, and I think that's been the biggest difference this year, is being able to throw off speed in any count. And then my splitter, which I really like, has gotten more consistent, and it keeps getting more consistent, which is good. And the more that it keeps getting consistent and keeps getting better, it's just going to help me out even more. But I think that's been the main reason physically, but mentally, yeah, I think the biggest thing has been just staying positive. And honestly, it really depends on the pitcher. But for me, it's just been like not really caring out there. For me, that's been the biggest thing, because in college, I would put so much pressure on myself. I would have like 3 energy drinks before start. I would be tighter than a ball of rubber bands. Like I'd feel like, oh my God, like I have to like pitch absolutely perfect. If I walk one guy or one guy gets a hit, I'm gonna get a tight ass. And now it's just like, dude, like just trust what you do in the off season, trust what you do before you pitch, and just go out there and have fun. Like if a kid hits a nuke off of you, that's baseball. Like it's gonna happen. These are professional hitters. If you walk a kid, great, get a ground ball. And it's kind of just staying in the moment and not letting the game speed up, because I think that was my biggest flaw in college, was I let the game speed up on me. I think that's hands down been the biggest difference this year. Obviously, I fine-tuned my off speed. My fastball is sinking more, and my stuff's been really good. And obviously, that's all important. You can't just throw 75 and have a great attitude and you're going to do well. It's not all of it. But I think that the changes that I've made and benefited from physically, as well as like in my head, I think that's been the reason that I've had such a good year this year.
Awesome, JP, man. It's so cool to hear that, and especially for me, I'll definitely be rooting for you. And with that, I kind of want to ask: have the Phillies at all kind of said to you what might come next for you? Like, do you think you could get another promotion this season, or is that just kind of to be determined stuff? And do you find yourself still in, like, I guess, the developmental phase?
No, they don't. They don't tell you that kind of stuff. When you get promoted, they literally call you in, and if it's after the game, they call you in and say, "Hey, you're going to Double A," or they call you at like 10:30 at night, say, "Hey, you're going to Double A."
Yeah, yeah.
But right now, I'm actually on the IL for probably another 2 weeks. I have just some
I saw that. Yeah.
just some inflammation. It's nothing serious. So I'll be back for the last month and a half of the season.
Awesome.
But no, I have no idea what's next. And then that goes back to my mentality of staying in the moment and just enjoying where you're at. I think me adopting the mentality of like being where your feet are has been a big part of my success. So I'm not really like looking to Double A. I'm not really like even in Clearwater, I wasn't like, man, like when am I going to go to like Jersey? I'm pitching well. Why have I not been called up yet? Because we have kids who are like that. And I just feel like it doesn't do well for, one, your like mental well-being, and two, like your performance on the mound, because then again you go back to being tight and you're like, oh man, like I have to keep pitching well to move up. And I'm just having fun, man. I think that's been the biggest thing. And whenever it's my time to go up, it's my time to go up. And hopefully I'll keep going up all the way to the show. So
Absolutely. JP, 2 more quick questions for you. I got the BlueClaws hat right here. We were joking about that. Tell me a little bit, how has your time been, at that field and playing with the BlueClaws?
Jersey Shore is awesome, man. I think I went there once as a kid, because I had like a ticket in my room that my mom showed me, and I was like, "Huh, small world," because I guess I went to the game when I was a kid.
Wow.
But No, the stadium is fantastic. When I got there, I was like, this place is huge. I mean, Clearwater's great, obviously, because it's the big league spring training stadium. So the facilities are nice. The locker room's fantastic. It's a great stadium. We get decent fans there. Um, but here, it's just, especially for like a normal minor league facility, because it's obviously the low A league is all big league spring training stadiums. Our stadium here is top notch. I think it's hands down our favorite place to play. The stadium's huge. They have so much going on. We get a good crowd almost every night. The field's in great shape, and it's been an awesome place to play. Yeah, I really couldn't ask for anything more from Jersey Shore.
I'm going to sneak one question in before I ask you my final question. Why number 43?
I don't know. I've worn that since high school. I've actually been 26 for the last 3 weeks, and we just got 43 in 2 days ago. So I just got that here in
Oh, okay.
Jersey. So our clubby Corey actually hooked me up with that. So I'm very appreciative for that. But it was my junior year of high school, maybe senior year. I think it was my junior year. And we were just getting jerseys, and I was like, oh, 43 is like a big lefty pitcher's number. I'll just take that. And I
Nice.
took it, and then that's what I wore all of college. And then in spring, I honestly didn't expect to carry it into, the Phillies organization. And then at instructional league in the fall, the jersey in my locker was 43, and I was like, oh, like, that's really cool. They literally like went out of their way to give me my number, which is awesome. So because there's no way that was a coincidence. That's like needle in a haystack type coincidence. So they gave me 43, and then spring training again, I was 43, and I was like, that's awesome. And then I was like, obviously I'm going to keep it going. So Clearwater got 43, and then came here, and Corey, our clubby, was like, oh, we don't have it, but it's actually going to come in probably a month. And I was like, all right, that's fine. So it literally just came in like 3 days ago. So yeah, I've just been wearing it ever since.
Well, it brings some pretty good Phillies vibes because despite being a Mets fan, I have great respect for the late, great Roy Halladay.
Yeah.
Flip his number 34.
Yeah.
There you go.
Flip it around.
JP, my last question for you, man. It goes without saying, I think when people listen to this, they'll hear that you have a very, very cool baseball story, and that, you are incredibly driven from a personal level, and you're dedicated to this wonderful game. Just tell me a little bit about, when you think within yourself, how does all that play into your aspirations to, play in the show one day?
Honestly, and like I said, I try not to think about it too much, but I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason, and if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. I work my ass off with anything I can do to get better, whether it's in the weight room, stretching, pitch design, whatever it is. Obviously, I'm gonna do everything in my power to get there. But I think the reason that I've been moving up so fast, and the reason that I've been having success is, like I said, is I'm just enjoying where my feet are. And I think getting to the show is obviously the end goal, and it would be just absolutely incredible for me and everyone that's been part of my journey. But right now, I think the most important thing is for me to do everything in my control and let the other pieces fall where they may. Because it's just like on and off the field, there's a lot of things in life that people don't have control over. And I think people get very upset, and it's really hard to not let things outside of your control get to you. But I think that that's a really important element for me and baseball, and for just in general in life, is just controlling the things that you can control and letting the other pieces fall where they may. So for me, working as hard as I can to get better, maybe trying to gain a couple extra miles an hour, trying to get some more feel with my splitter, and doing the things I can control. And if the Phillies see that, all those changes are good enough to promote me to the Phillies, then I would be happier than a kid on Christmas. But again, it's one of those things where I am where my feet are, and I can't wait to see what comes next. I don't know what it'll be. I'm anticipating it'll be making it to the show, but we'll get there when we get there.
JP, man, all the best to you. Thank you so much for taking the time. Best of luck with the rest of the BlueClaws, and definitely I'll be rooting for you, and I hope to see you one day pitch against my New York Mets. So
Great. Thank you so much. It was good talking to you.
thank you, man.